So now we're going to go ahead and start assembling this ATI balancer so that we can get it installed. And the first thing you want to do is, this is our AC pulley, and what we're trying to do here is just line that up into place. That. And that indent there needs to line up to this hole with that indent there. So we're going to go ahead and go do that and line that up. Fit on like that, and then rotate. So now the two indents on that hub and on this piece here line up. We're just going to snug these down right now. We're not going to torque them. I like to torque them when it's actually installed on the engine. Okay. Because our front seal right now is dry, and we want to do is put a little bit of assembly lube just on this surface. Next we'll take a little bit of anti-seize, and we're just going to put it in a few areas. Now I just like to put a really thin film. I don't want it too heavy on there because it's just going to end up being pushed out. So I'm just going to rub it in there. So now we're ready to install the balancer onto the crank snout. What we'll do is we're lining up that Woodruff key mark there to the key right there on the crank snout. If we get that lined up, we'll get the balancer install tool on there. Summit Racing Products brand, actually, balancer installer tool. So when we're trying to install this balancer here, we want to make sure that this crank doesn't rotate as we're doing it. So we install the flex plate here just temporarily along with this fixture to hold us in place. It mounts off the starter bolts. So that way this crank cannot turn over right now at all. Now I'm going to back that off. Probably 90% of the way through right now. I just like to go in now with the crank bolt, the ARP 12-point crank bolt, and take it the rest of the way. So it bottomed out. So now that balancer is fully installed and seated where it needs to be on that crank gear. We can back this out. You don't want to use the same bolt to install it as you are to the final install. I just always have this in my toolbox to do just that. If you don't have two crank bolts like I just did there, you can always use the Summit install tool, and that'll take you all the way in. What you want to do is lubricate the threads on this. Now this bolt does get torqued down to 235 foot-pounds. So that's a lot. So you want to make sure that these threads are not going to get pulled or anything like that. So you want to make sure this has plenty of lubrication on those threads. And then now you're not, just like the head bolts, you're not going to lubricate the washer at all. I'll put any lube on that. You're going to lubricate the back side of the head bolt. Just like that. All right, so we're all set, 235 foot-pounds there. Note that this has been torqued. So still we want to do a star pattern when we're torquing this in. We'll start over here. Take it to 16 foot-pounds. Torque stripe these.